Lately, I've been really into that song, Born to Be Alive by Patrick Hernandez. It plays at the beginning of an episode of Shoresy during a slow motion fight montage.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't get it out of my head. Because we were born, born to be alive, born to be alive. Which is something that Ultra Magnus can't say anymore.
Too much energy.
Hooray! You're Silverbolt.
These upgrades come with a warranty.
Blah 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
Titor, what have you done?
I am giving this episode no energon.
What are you, a Quintesson?
This is no energon. Fuck it. I can't.
Sigma balls, Gary. No, not that.
Back to Too Much Energon, the podcast where two 90s kids talk shit about Beast Wars and talk about Beast Wars shit. I am one of your hosts, Neo Cal.
And on the siege, the other guy.
The other guy, this isn't Beast Wars, though. Sometimes we do other things. And
Yeah,
in fact,
sometimes we do other things.
yeah, Transformers fans, Beast Wars fans don't think it be like it is.
But it
do.
did. Speaking of things that do, well, we missed last week. Life stuff got in the way. I started a new job.
That's right.
As anyone who's been following along with us on this this auditory transformative journey that we've been going through for the past 85 episodes, making this episode 86, so Too Much Energon. Yeah, I recently, well, about over a month ago now, left my job and relocated to another city. And, well, I got a job. Actually,
Got a job?
it was quite easy. A job that, if we're being honest, I'm actually a little overqualified for. But a job that is in my wheelhouse. Just a job posting that's within my wheelhouse just happened to show up on Indeed.ca, and so I applied for it. They phoned me the next day, then they phoned me again. Missed their call twice. I was going to call. I tried calling back later on in the day, but the person who had phoned me, my new boss, had left for the day. And I missed him by like 20 minutes. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll call back the next day. And before I had a chance to do that, he called me.
Yeah, off hours.
No, it was
Presumably off his hours.
No, it was during business hours. It was the next day. I hadn't had a chance to return
the
his
next
call
day.
yet.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I had a really good feeling about it. Went into the interview, had a great interview. They hired me on the spot, and they asked me what my wage expectation was, and I gave them a number, and they said done.
Which means, ladies and gentlemen, he should have gone higher.
Which means I should have gone higher. I didn't want to push it too far.
Yeah.
This is like, I mean, this is grocery store work.
Hey man, Neopets taught me how to bargain, and if you start too high, you just lose the opportunity altogether.
I'll buy it at a high price. Wait, wrong game. Yeah, so I started the job this past week. I've worked a full week now. I just did I'm a closing grocery supervisor. So I'm basically in charge in the evening. Actually, not basically. I am in charge of the whole store.
Yeah, you told me like what was it? I can't remember the joke, but you were like, "Oh, my third day on the job, and they're entrusting me with the entirety of closing down."
Oh yeah, yeah. On my third day, they gave me a key. They gave me keys to the store. I'm like, well, that's a good sign. Yeah,
Step one of the mission complete. Earn their trust.
I just did my first closing shift by myself, and when I say by myself, I mean no other supervisors there.
Yeah.
So it was straight up just me in charge last night, and yeah, mostly went pretty well. I'm sure I'll get some feedback when I go, because I'm working Wednesday to Sunday now. So I'm sure the time of recording, it's Monday. So I'm sure when I go into work on Wednesday, probably gonna get some feedback, but I don't expect anything too egregious. Everything went pretty smoothly.
Nice.
We were
Nice.
just
How big is this place?
the store. I couldn't tell you square footage. It's uh picture a small Walmart maybe,
Oh, okay.
or like a uh I don't know. All the examples that are coming up in my head are like Canadian specific, or like local things that are American and international
Right.
listeners would have no context for. So it's a decent sized grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bigger than the last one that I worked at.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds bigger than the last one.
Although weirdly not, it doesn't feel as busy. Doesn't seem like it's as busy.
Well, I mean, a lot of your time probably isn't being spent like tackling crackheads and screaming at people coming into the store and starting shit.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Is actually in my interview, one of the questions that he asked me, he's like, my new boss asked me, he's like, what are some challenges that you faced at your last job? You know, typical like interview questions. And I was like, crackheads. If you know Victoria, we're uh well, let's just say we were close to Crack Central. I just kind of had to stop myself there, because I'm like, if I get too region specific, then people might start to actually deduce where I worked.
Yeah,
Um,
which I'm sure they could really do if they wanted to anyway.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, anyway, so I was like, yeah, had to deal with a lot of crackheads. We were kind of senior level staff there. Were kind of basically expected to be unpaid loss prevention and security.
Hmm.
It was one of those like unwritten rules, like no one would actually like say that out loud, but that was very much the culture there.
Yeah.
But that's not really much of a thing at my new job, and in fact, I've discussed that with them, and they're like, and the culture there very much is like, we don't want you to get hurt. It's just product.
Wow.
Yeah.
So change of pace.
It is a change of pace, and the location it's in too. Like, hardly see any junkies come in. It's actually noteworthy. Like, I've seen a couple so far, but it's actually noteworthy when you see one come in. It's mostly just families,
Right.
because it's kind of it's more in the like country side of town, if you know what I mean. More rural side of town.
Less hospitable to the creatures of the night,
Yep.
so to speak.
Yep. So that's going well. I'm pretty excited about that. It's a nice change of pace, and I've people there have been asking me. They're like, oh, so we think you're gonna do really well. Like, so how are you liking it so far? And sometimes I get kind of a weird look from people when I say this, so I should start actually prefacing with like, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but things here compared to my last job are very straightforward.
That's nice.
Yeah, no, they are. It's a very like, it's less chaotic. It's just routine, doing the same things every night.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Less things to do, not having to fight crackheads. I'm not like doing ordering or anything like that, so not having to like submit orders to like a million different vendors and like worry about cutoff times and trying to balance that with actually like working stock out, and doing other like duties that are assigned to me, and also like receiving duties like pallets of frozen stock coming in at random that I have to deal with, and there none of that. It's just basically keep the ads filled and face the store. Yeah, it's very
engage in fisticuffs with the riffraff only at your own peril.
yeah,
rather than
basically.
some weird like obligation.
Yeah, the and so far, like, everyone I've met seems really nice. Like, the staff are really friendly. I've already been last night, especially because it was my first night being the like actually being like the closing supervisor, I kind of made a point of like walking around and talking and like trying to get to know some of the like staff, like supervisors and other departments and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, that's good. There's so many people in that position that kind of they don't want to talk to people. They just want their position. They want you to listen to them and chop
And
chop.
and admittedly, I can be guilty of that
Yeah.
myself. So, which is why one of the reasons why yesterday I was like trying to make a point of like actually like going and being like introducing myself and like talking to people, getting to know them, like talking to them about me. I made a point of like going out onto the sales floor and like facing with the grocery guys and just like engaging in conversation with them.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to be a little more human and treat everyone like people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
The things we got to do to blend in.
not all of us have alternate forms, if you know what
I
I mean.
know.
We can't
No.
all transform and roll out. And on that note, this is episode 86 of Too Much Energon, where this week we are talking about Transformers, War for Cybertron, Siege, like me. Chapter 4. They don't
Chapter
have,
4.
I'm sure I've mentioned it in previous weeks, but they don't have episode names. They're just called chapters 1 to 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's only 6?
It
This part?
yeah, it's a trilogy of 6-part shows. Like it's all the same
They
show.
feel longer. Like for some reason, in hindsight, because I've actually watched the War for Cybertron, it feels longer, except for part 3, Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
feels like it's not long enough.
Oh yeah. Kingdom is very like
The pacing is
pacing's all over the place. It's very yeah, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, we will.
I find it really strange that Netflix breaks these up into 3 different shows because it's like, guys, it's all the same show. Like these are just different. This is just 3 seasons of the same show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never thought about that.
yeah, I don't know why they do
It kind
that.
of just makes it more complicated.
Yeah, because
And
it'll be like,
indeed, when you search for it, they pop up as different shows on Netflix.
and like when I fired up Netflix earlier to watch this episode, it was like recommended at the very top. I'm like, okay, where it's like continue watching. It didn't list like what the first thing in the list wasn't War for Cybertron Siege. It was War for Cybertron Earthrise. And I'm like,
Weird.
yes, I have watched that before, so technically I could continue watching it. But I watched that a year and a half ago. Meanwhile, I watched the last episode of Siege like 2 weeks ago. Maybe we should focus on putting that one first. Maybe?
Yeah, that's a good point there. It could, because it considers them 2 different shows. Netflix algorithm will pop things up that you didn't finish. Like if you had restarted and gotten to a certain episode, it'll go, oh, how do we like hook people for another month? How do we keep them watching? How do we get people to use all their bandwidth on Netflix and keep them interested?
Use all the bandwidth on the Netflix and the chilling.
The Netflix and the chilling. It's great to have on in the background instead of smooth jazz. War for Cybertron Earthrise. And yeah, it'll just take things that you haven't watched in like a year or 2.
Call me Optimus. Call me Optimus, baby. And she's
not
like,
Primal. No. Gary.
And she's like, why did you just call me RC? Who is RC?
Don't worry about it.
No, yeah, don't worry about it.
I Chromia, if you're into that.
Yeah, I'm more of a Chromia kind of guy, I gotta say.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So episode opens up with Megatron and the Seekers, including Jetfire, whose betrayal has not been discovered from last episode, has not been discovered yet. But they have Ultra Magnus in shackles, and they're taking him up to a place that they
the old
believe,
war memorial.
the old war memorial that they believe. Oh, it's the Alpha Trion Memorial.
That's it.
Right. Where they believe that the Autobots are hiding, and Megatron even is like, of course Prime would choose the Alpha Trion Memorial to build his secret Autobot base. And so they Megatron and Ultra Magnus are kind of shit talking each other during this as they like ascend these steps. And
Yeah, even Megatron's like, how does it feel to betray your own kind and kill them all? And the door opens and there's nothing there, and he turns around and he's like, feels pretty good, fucker. Like, what the shit, that fucking grin on his face.
I know, right?
Because it's right after Megatron's like, how does it feel to be a traitor, idiot? I don't respect you. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, he's got this like fucking smirk on his face.
I love it.
I was considering making that the artwork for this episode, but actually what I'm gonna go with though is something that's coming up very soon.
Oh.
And we'll get there in a second. So Megatron charges up his cannon and is like, because of that shit-eating grin on your face, today you die. Blows a fucking hole in him. And
yeah, point blank, and he's dead.
He's dead. Like
that.
And his eyes start glowing, and all of a sudden we get a glittery light show emerge from his body.
Yeah, and Jetfire is like right there, right? And he's like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
His reaction to when Megatron just straight up kills Ultra Magnus is like, And
as we've known by now that he's kind of on the side of like, maybe we shouldn't just be murdering them. Like there needs to be some what's it called? Like rules of warfare.
Yeah, we need to have like there needs to be like certain ethical treatment of prisoners, you know? Like
he's also anti-genocide, so as we've seen in the previous episode when he fucked up Skywarp.
Well, and indeed,
is dead. Yeah,
he's dead. Apparently, I don't.
I thought that was
Starscream, and a couple of other Seekers show up, and he's like, Megatron, that Jetfire guy is an asshole. Or actually, no, he just like opens fire.
Just opens fire on him, and it hits him in the shoulder or something. It
hits him. It just causes a bit of damage, and Megatron immediately like raises his cannon and is like, Starscream, I should execute you where you stand. And Starscream is like, Megatron, I always said that Jetfire guy was a real asshole, and guess what? He killed Skywarp. And so here I'm like, did he? Because I remember
I was like, didn't Skywarp fly all the way home?
he flew all the way home and told Starscream about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Did he die in Starscream's arms?
In a like loving embrace.
Sleep, my friend. The war is over for you. Ooh, he had 10 Deceptibucks
on him.
Dibs.
And
like a fucking D&D character, he just immediately starts looting the body.
Actually, it's funny you bring up Deceptibucks, because there's actually a scene later on where we see BumbleBee getting paid with some coins, and I'm like, hey, Decepticoins.
There we are. Yeah, Decepticoins.
Starscream like shoots at him and tells Megatron that he's actually a traitor, and Megatron turns to Jetfire and is like, Jetfire, is this true? And Jetfire's like, yep.
Maybe.
I like that he just straight up admits it, and he's like, basically, like, yeah, this isn't what I signed up for. This is not what we originally stood for. Like I think the Megatron that you were when I joined the cause would never do the things that you're doing.
Yep. And
indeed,
he takes a shot, I think.
Yeah, he takes. Yeah, he
one of them over.
Takes a shot and like Jetfire starts shooting. Well, and, speaking of things Megatron does, I forgot to mention, or maybe he does it. I don't know. Anyway, he tells the Seek. Right, it's after. So Jetfire fucks off. A couple of the Seekers,
Yeah,
like,
he does that big smoke show. He goes all out and just busts his fucking nut.
yeah. These like like missiles like shoot out of his back. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty
Hit
cool shot.
everyone. Yeah, he just carpet bombs the area and he's like, fuck all y'all, I'm out of here, and
Yeah.
pieces out. And I was like, oh shit, that's
and
cool.
Megatron Megatron tells the Seeker, a couple of the Seekers like go after Jetfire, and Megatron tells like the other Decepticons that were there to take Magnus's body to Shockwave because I want answers.
Yeah, he's already dead. Fuck off.
Well, and indeed, like
he's already dead.
Well, and indeed, I've said in recent episodes of the podcast, like this Shockwave is this show's Tarantulas, and we'll get to that eventually. So
what happens? We get some Bumblebee action.
yeah, we get some Bumblebee action. He's getting paid in Decepticons.
Yeah, there we go. We have it, folks. He did it for a few Decepticoins.
Yeah, and so he's like, and
what is he going to buy with it? He lives in rubble. Like groceries? Like what do they need other than Energon?
And he's an Energon scavenger.
And fuel and
my headcanon here is that he is saving up to get off Cybertron.
To like maybe pay some neutral party to get him the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
That's a good headcanon. That makes his character more palatable. Because I find his motivations just nonsensical.
Quite dubious, yeah.
But with that kind of like headcanon in mind, you're like, oh, okay, well, he just wants to survive.
Yeah, because he wants no part of the war, right? And he kind of sees like the whole thing as a lost cause, so he's scrounging up Energon and selling it to save up enough Deceptibucks to buy his way off of Cybertron.
But he
and you know the show literally could have explained that with like one line of dialogue.
Whenever one thing I've noticed from doing all of these episodes with you, be it Too Much Energon or Lasercomb podcast or Alphanumeric or anything, is sometimes just a single line of dialogue can fix an entire like seasonal plot hole.
There's a movie that came out in 2005 or 2006 starring Aaron Eckhart. It was like kind of his breakout role, called Thank You for Smoking. It was directed by Jason Reitman too, the son of Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman. But there's a scene where where Aaron Eckhart's character, he plays like a tobacco lobbyist. He works for a tobacco company.
Yeah.
And he's talking to a movie producer who I think was played by Rob Lowe. And Rob Lowe is like, "Oh, we want to make cigarettes sexy again. So we're gonna put them in our movie. It's a sci-fi movie on a space station." People like, and he just like describes the scene of like people getting it on in a space station and then lighting up a cigarette afterward. And Aaron Eckhart's like, "But hold on, wouldn't lighting a cigarette in an all oxygen environment cause an explosion?" And Rob Lowe's like, "Huh, it's a good point. But easy fix, one line of dialogue. Thank God, we invented that, whatever." That line has always stuck with me after all these years.
One line of dialogue to explain something.
Yeah.
They knew it in that movie.
Yeah.
Come on. Get with the program.
So there could have been like literally one line of dialogue in this show at any point.
Explaining his motivation.
Yeah, explaining something along the lines of like, yeah, I'm just doing this because I want off of this like dying planet.
Yeah, and that would explain why he needs money. And there are third parties like who he's selling the Energon to. There is kind of like a separate little independent faction.
Yeah.
So there are other Transformers around besides Autobots and Decepticons, or at least ones taking part of the war.
Right.
But yeah, it just kind of makes him seem greedy. But then even that's not enough, because it's like greedy for what? Like, what are you saving for a home in the rubble? Like, what are you? What's your end goal there?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good headcanon. I like that.
So speaking of cannons, not really, but it was the best segue I could come up with. The glittery light show that Ultra Magnus's corpse jizzed out comes flying through the air and goes right into Bumblebee. And Bumblebee's eyes turn green, and well, he's seeing the Matrix code now.
Infinite power.
He's yeah, he's unlocked the Matrix code. He's seen it everywhere. And uh Morpheus is like, he is the one.
He is beginning to believe. And indeed, well, as we find out later, this is the Alpha Trion protocols.
Well, and indeed, Bumblebee is like kind of freaking out. He's like, all this data, like blah, 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 Alpha Trion. And then he
Who
like
the
kind of
fuck?
yeah, who the fuck is Alpha Trion? I gotta find Prime. So he fucks off. And we cut to where do we go from here? Jetfire is being pursued in the sky. I watched this a few hours ago, people, and
he's being pursued by Soundwave's buddy, the little pterodactyl, the little bird one.
oh, Laserbeak.
Laserbeak. And he said Laserbeak.
Oh yeah, because
New
Soundwave
mission.
there's a quick scene where Soundwave sends Laserbeak off to like find Jetfire.
Track anomaly. That's what he's doing. He's tracking the anomaly. Sorry.
Right.
So that energy wave.
The Seekers are at some point pursuing Jetfire because there's
yeah.
actually a pretty cool dogfight sequence.
Oh yeah, it's like right out of like Star Fox.
Yeah, totally.
He held down and pressed boost, and he did a barrel roll.
Did a barrel roll, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he literally does a barrel roll, and I'm like, does that work when the person behind you is so far behind you they can just brake or change course? But it worked. The fight scene's cool. He's got like a little light blade, right?
Yeah.
Of his own. He fucks people up. It proves that Jetfire can actually.
Well, he is a commander class figure. That's why he's so
yeah,
big.
he's actually taller than Megatron.
Yeah. Yeah, Megatron is only, weirdly enough, is only a Voyager class figure. He's not even a leader class.
Yeah, I was going to say, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's on the show? Who's taller than him? I know Soundwave is as big as him. Magnus was taller, but now that Magnus is gone, it's just our boy.
I think right now Magnus is the only leader class toy in the show.
Yeah.
Because like Megatron, Optimus, Soundwave, Shockwave, Elita 1, they're all Voyager class figures, and most of the other characters in the show are all deluxe class figures. But Jetfire is a commander class, which is again why, and the like we've talked about before, like they literally just scanned the toys into the show, so that's why that's why Jetfire like towers over everyone.
And that's cool because then if you have them lined up on your shelf, they scale to the show too.
Yeah, they scale properly.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it too.
There's a lot of in this particular episode with the previous ones. There's a lot of, and my one gripe with the episode is there's a lot of Autobot bickering that kind of doesn't matter. So excuse us, listeners, when we go blah blah blah. Alita and
yeah,
Optimus bicker a bunch.
There's a scene back at Autobot base where Optimus is Elita 1 is talking to Optimus Prime, and she's like, "Hey, listen, Optimus, I know that you believe that you're doing the right thing, but like we don't even know what it's going to do to the planet if we remove the Allspark from it." And again, I know I've said this before, but again, I'm like, you're putting this plan into motion and you still have no fucking idea where the thing is.
Also, even though you could cast her as the curmudgeon of the show, she's right.
Yeah.
I think War for Cybertron Siege and Earthrise could be like subtitled like Alita 1 was right again. Like if she had been listened to, we wouldn't have all of Earthrise.
Yeah, and indeed, she's like, yeah, I know you think you're doing the right thing, but, you know, we don't know what this is going to do to the planet. And I just ask you to please, before you make any rash decisions, please just hear my concerns. And Optimus is basically like, shut up, woman. Anyway, Wheeljack, how is fueling up the arc coming?
He's like, terrible. We don't have enough energon. Oh my god. And he's like, make it happen. And it's like, okay.
Optimus doesn't actually say "shut up, woman," but that's basically what he does. He completely just she says this to him with passion in her voice, like, and Optimus just straight up
concerns are noted. Carry on.
Your concerns are noted, and now we are going to continue on exactly as we were before, as if you said nothing.
Your input is valid. I hear you. I respect you.
Yeah, it's like,
but
yeah.
no.
but no.
But no.
So
that's that.
Yeah, and Wheeljack is like, there's a bit where Ratchet says something akin to like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this space bridge to work, and Optimus is like, but it's really important because Megatron, and Ratchet's like, yes, okay. I heard the spiel already. I'll fix it for you. Shut up now.
There's that trope. I don't think I've ever liked it. Like ever. Where someone's like, oh geez, like this isn't possible. I need advanced equipment and that I don't have access to and resources and all of this. And the leader's like, just make it happen. And that's enough. Oh, just do it. Oh, okay. Like we don't have enough energon to power the arc and keep like the cloaking device like active, like not even close. Find a way.
Just do it anyway.
Thanks for the inspiration, leader. That's such a trope. And then off screen, it magically happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Compactor and the gang all
oh yeah, at Ratchet's, all of Ratchet's buddies there.
Yeah, I think like Chromia's going on out there, Mirage. There's a team going towards the Sky Bridge. Yeah.
Heading towards the Sky Bridge.
Because what happens? I think it's Prime goes to talk to the big boys in this one, right? Yeah.
Prime drives off while they're doing this. Prime drives off to like the Great Hall or something. I can't remember what they call it. To speak to the Guardians, they call them. Which the Guardians are just 3 Titan class Omega Supreme figures silhouetted, standing in fog.
They're just like big boys who hang out in the fog and don't do shit.
Yeah.
And at the reveal that these people existed and they're there to protect Cybertron, not engage in like faction squabbles, maybe get off your high horse.
Well, he explains what's going on. Prime explains what's going on to them, and one of the Omega Supremes is like the Omega Supremes. Sounds like a disco group,
right? Yeah, but he's like, Megatron seeks the Allspark, and I'm only looking for it because he's bad.
Yeah,
and then I don't want to, but I mean, I have to find it before he does.
And one of the Omega Supremes is like, now Prime, we told you, we're not getting involved. You and your brother figure this out together. You guys
And
go
remember,
you guys go tell each other that you're sorry and that you're going to play nice next time.
that's kind of what.
That's kind of what the gist of this scene is. And Prime is like, well, fuck you, Dad.
Fuck you, Dad. You're not my real dad anyway. And he transforms and peels rubber and
Uh, yeah, so he goes back to the Autobot base, and
he's
I
like,
think
stupid Guardians won't help us.
yeah, he tells Elita that the Guardians heard his concerns, but they're not going to get involved. And Elita is like, yeah, and how does it feel, asshole?
And he's like, huh? I don't follow. And she's like, when people at a higher position than you are don't take you seriously when what you're talking about is really important. He's like, huh, yeah, I don't know how it feels. Have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking
No.
about. Anyways,
What are
how's
you
that
talking
other
about later?
shit coming along?
That doesn't happen, but it really should have, because they basically just did to him what he's been doing to her throughout this entire show so far.
He's almost comically dumb in the levels he doesn't listen to his fellow Autobots. Remember, it took like a whole freaking episode for him to listen to Wheeljack about the Sky Bridge. He's like, not now, later. And he's like, okay, Prime, like 10 seconds. There's a Sky Bridge. But there's a Sky Bridge and we can, no, later. And it's like, shut up, Prime. Like, Megatron's the bad guy through malice and impatience, but like Prime is kind of the bad guy due to ego. Like, it's kind of just watching two bad guys mistreat their own people in different ways.
It's like watching it's like watching like two not very good dudes go about things, but one of the not very good dudes is just slightly worse than the other.
And the slightly worse, it's like, okay, one is
I mean,
one is a murderer, but then the other wants to roll the dice and see if taking the soul out of a planet away will kill it. So it's like, you want to stop, and they address this later on in Earthrise, but it's like, you want to stop someone from committing genocide by committing genocide better. That's some wacky like levels of narcissism.
Yeah, and indeed, like it kind of does.
It translates like that much as we're coming up to the close.
Well, and indeed, to jump way ahead into like toward the end of Kingdom, like this war leads Prime to become Nemesis Prime. So like eventually Prime does break bad, continuing on with this path.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Alternate. Yeah.
So when you're watching it, like initially, like it kind of just seems like really like bizarre or like bad character writing, but they are actually like building.
But then in hindsight, you're like, no, they're kind of like the yin yang, but instead of good and evil, it's just, it's like light and dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's kind of cool too, because like ultimately like Prime like makes the choice to become evil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not this show doesn't really the show doesn't really like doesn't really do like good and evil per se, but like Prime through his actions like gradually becomes the bad guy in like a potential future, and Megatron like through choice, but Megatron ends up becoming Galvatron kind of against his will and ends up becoming a tool of Unicron. Because
of how much he hates that,
but it's
he's accidentally an ally. Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me because like the quote unquote good guy leader ends up gradually becoming the bad guy through choice and through his own actions, whereas the bad guy of the show ends up having his agency taken away from him. I don't know. It's just it's an interesting duality to me.
It is, yeah, and it gets heavy and philosophical after Siege, as we'll dive into eventually.
And perhaps I'm just thinking too much, reading too
No, I
much
don't. I
into it.
don't
But
think you are, man. Those are heavy in philosophy.
yeah,
Yeah, like when we get there, it's, if anything, you're not thinking of it enough. It's deep stuff. Yeah, it goes beyond just like some robots fighting each other.
yeah, and that's one of the things that I find really compelling about this show. I actually said, and we'll get back into covering the episode proper in just a minute here, but I actually said, I think I may have said it to you, but I know I've definitely said it to a few friends that I wish this was the movies. I wish the Transformers movies were like this.
They
And
lose. Yeah, if the whole thing was CG and it wasn't on Earth, that could be kind of cool. You had mentioned one of the movies opens with like a minute or two showing Cybertron.
Bumblebee, the
Yeah,
hands down the best live action Transformers movie, and the only one so far not directed by Michael Bay.
and it gives you a taste of like what that could be and what it could look like, and then you don't see it again.
Yeah, the first 3 minutes of the movie are set on Cybertron, and the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting. And they're very much like movie versions of the characters, but they're movie versions of the G1 character designs, not the like mess of machinery that the Michael Bay movies are. And I'm like, holy shit, like, can we just have a Transformers movie that is all like the first 3 minutes of Bumblebee? Like,
Right?
please?
Yeah,
Please?
please. No, no, another one. This one with dinosaurs. Okay, sure.
All right, yeah, fine, whatever. At least we're getting Rise of the Beasts though, and a few toys of our boy Gary Primal, the movie version of Gary Primal. Which I guess when we eventually cover that movie, because we're gonna have to,
Mhm.
I guess we're gonna have to call him Ronnie Primal.
Step
'Cause-
aside, Gary. There's a new Ronnie in town, except that he's also voiced.
Well, he's voiced by Ron Perlman, so
Yeah,
that's why I was.
but Ron Perlman is voiced um
Oh yeah,
Primal
yeah. He voiced
in the
Primal
past.
in the Power of the Primes cartoon, which
That's it.
I think we should probably cover that on this podcast at some point. I was reading up
Yeah, in
about it.
some way.
I,
Yeah.
I was reading up about it, and it actually does sound kind of interesting. And the episodes are short too; they're only like 8 minutes long.
Oh, it's one of those.
Yeah, it's like a web series, so we could like cover an entire. I think much like this. I think it's like a trilogy of like three seasons, and like all the episodes are only like 8 or 9 minutes long. So
Oh, so we could chunk it.
we could just do like an entire like each season as one episode of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we could do that.
there we go, listeners. We're figuring out plans for the future.
Yeah. But somebody's future was ruined because he's getting trippy visions. He's seeing through the Matrix.
Yeah,
Our yellow buddy.
yeah. So Bumblebee goes to the Ark and meets with Prime, and like Hound and like I think Prowl are like trying to restrain him, and he's like, "I've got to talk to Prime," and Prime is like, "All right, let him in." Bumblebee, what do you want? And Bumblebee's like,
You got to
okay,
get rid of this, Doc.
who
I'm
who the
seeing shit.
He's like, listen, Prime, who the fuck is Alpha Trion? Oh, and actually, before this, there was a scene where Optimus is like, by the Matrix, no. And Elita 1 is like, what's wrong? And he's like, the Alpha Trion protocols have been activated. And
That could only mean
that
one thing.
that could only mean that Ultra Magnus is dead. And everyone like sobs.
Yeah,
And
and then
all of
everybody
that.
pours out their Patron.
Pours one out for their dead homie. But yeah, so in this scene, Prime immediately like clues in, and he's like, you the Alpha Trion protocols chose you.
He's like,
Wow.
well, I don't care about your war. And he's like, well, that's
He's
the
like,
point.
yeah, he's like, yeah, take it out of me. I don't want it. And Prime's like, Dude,
Doesn't work like that.
doesn't work that way, bud. You're kind of stuck with this. And
Yeah,
then
you've received this exaltation, and it leaves you when you die.
Suddenly Bumblebee goes on a acid trip.
Yeah, he takes a brain dance.
Brain. Yeah, it's a good. It kind
He's
of
like,
is,
go
really.
go talk to you'll have to ask him yourself.
Yeah,
Just like meditate.
so
Meditate, get some sunshine and drink water. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You know how many doctors I've had tell me to like do that sort of thing? Oh, and then I'm like, no, I know something's actually wrong with me. So I go and get a second opinion, and they're like, wow, you have this illness that could have like really been serious if you had left it untreated. And I'm like,
But have you tried touching grass?
it's happened a few times. Anyway, so Bumblebee goes on this big like acid trip, and he meets Alpha Trion, and well, like a neon like
You know that
outrun,
scene
like
in
an
Far Cry 3?
like an outrun
when
version of Alpha Trion.
you know that scene in those scenes in Far Cry 3 when the main character like goes into his murder trance and everything's all trippy and he's like mass murdering for like the boss fights? It's like that without the murder. It's the brain dance. It's the Alpha Trion. And indeed,
I only remember the final boss of that game. I remember her being hot.
a Far Cry 3?
Yeah.
I only remember the boss with like the mohawk and like the red tank top.
I remember some boss fight where it was this like scantily clad chick with like dreads or something.
Weird that I wouldn't remember that.
Right? I'll do some legitimate journalism off air and figure out who I'm thinking of.
Yes.
But I
You're
know
saying
I know it's a thing because I took screenshots of her. And my Windows desktop for like the past decade now has been my my screenshots folder, which actually I also have linked to my Xbox. So when I take screenshots on my Xbox, they go into that same screenshots folder. So I get screenshot. It's a slideshow of screenshots from like games on Steam and games on my Xbox over the
that's
past
cool.
decade. Yeah, yeah.
Makes it easy to filter through them on your computer and delete the ones that aren't quite right or accidentally grabbed the HUD or something like that.
I just leave them all in.
But yeah, you were saying
but yeah,
Bumblebee's he's playing Outrun.
But yeah, anyway, I took screenshots of this boss, so
You know it's real, damn it.
so I know it's real. Yeah, so Bumblebee sees an Outrun neon like version of Alpha Trion, and Alpha Trion's like, Alpha Trion, I'm not the real Alpha Trion, bro. He did.
Deal with it.
He died a long time ago.
He's like, but then who are you? And he's like, whoa, that's a good question. And he's like,
only you,
what the fuck?
only you know the answer to that. And he's like, no, I don't. That's why I asked you.
And he's like, exactly. Farewell.
It's actually a lot more informative.
It is.
It's actually like quite informative.
That's the trope that I was hoping it didn't do, and it doesn't.
No, it
Like,
doesn't.
there's such a trope where it's like, you already know the answer, my child. Beast machines.
You must look from within to see the world without.
You must like plant the seeds of the future in the past. Whoa, the Oracle just told me I gotta like jizz in the dirt. I mean, I don't make the rules. Let's do this. Sorry, folks. That's a little remnant of our.
Get out the kiwi. I got some right here, Gary.
Get out the that joint oil. I know we need it for maintenance, but I've got some vision questing. So yeah, there's like Greek busts and like neon palm trees, and Alpha Trion gives him the D-Lo.
So the gist of what Alpha Trion tells him is that long ago, when when Megatron's uprising happened, Optimus and Ultra Magnus decided that no single Transformer should be in possession of both the Matrix of Leadership and the Alpha Trion protocols. So Prime and Bumblebee is like, wow, they chose to split the power, and Alpha Trion's like, right, they're the good guys.
Yeah.
So Optimus has the power. It has power from the Matrix, and Ultra Magnus has wisdom from the Alpha Trion protocol. The wisdom of all Autobot history from the Alpha Trion protocols. And Bumblebee's like, but why me? I don't want any part of any of this. And Alpha Trion's like, exactly. And and Bumblebee's like, wow, I get it. But what do you need me for? And Alpha Trion is like, Optimus Prime likes and trusts you, and Optimus Prime may be powerful, but he needs guidance, and he's going to achieve great victories, and he's also going to suffer massive losses. So he's going to need you at his side. And Bumblebee's
Good
like,
luck, little buddy. Yeah, but it is informative, and it's kind of enlightening for him, it seems.
it is like he completely, as soon as he like comes out of his acid trip, he like completely flips. He's like, all right, cool. I'm with you 100%.
He's
Optimus.
like, I want peace. I get it now. Just hoping for peace and like scavenging energon isn't gonna do shit. Whereas if I can actually help make peace,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah, and so Bumblebee says, I met Alpha Trion, sort of, and Optimus is like, I'm really envious of that because I really we all really miss him. And Bumblebee tells him, he's like, Alpha Trion thinks very highly of you in ways that I can't really put into words.
Yeah.
And Prime is like, I'm grateful for that. And I actually thought that was a really sweet moment.
That is.
Like that's got to be a good thing for Prime to hear.
And what breaks up their little powwow is a damaged but still functioning big boy coming for a crash landing.
Okay, so real quick, I just remembered the thing that I forgot to mention. The thing that I'm going to make the show art is this cracked me up. Is earlier, I just remembered when you brought up when you're alluding to Jetfire showing up.
Yeah.
When Megatron is after Jetfire, just straight up admits that he apparently killed Skywarp.
Yeah.
Megatron is like, execute him, and gives a big ass thumbs down.
Like he's like this freaking like Roman Caesar, like giving a gladiator.
Like what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix from Gladiator. Just the thumbs down. But anyway, yeah, when he just does the thumbs down, like it cracked me up. So
it's
that's
a good
what
reaction gif. I wonder if we can. That must exist somewhere, right? Just him giving the thumbs down.
So I'm gonna make that the episode art. Anyway, So Jetfire, they're interrupted when Jetfire comes bombing in. When
lots of dramatic smoke, and then he like kind of crawls through it, and he's all like, "I come in peace."
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Yeah,
that's his entrance music.
Hulk Hogan shows up.
We're making fun of the episode, but it's kind of hype with the music and the lighting because it's a sunset and the smoke, and he just kind of like shambles forward, and he's like, "My name is Jetfire.
I don't come to fight. I've come to join you."
Yeah,
and
that was pretty hype.
It was pretty hype, and I think that's the end of the episode. So we're making a lot of jokes, but well, we'll get to that in a second. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes on the Too Much Energon scale, which it ranges from not enough energon to a sufficient amount of energon to too much energon. It's basically bad, okay, good. Cal, what do you rate in this episode? War for Cybertron, Siege, Chapter 4.
You know what? Like, so much happened.
It's a very dense episode.
It's a very dense episode, and it's like this is what every episode of Earthrise and Kingdom like should have been like.
I actually really liked Earthrise, but
And no, Earthrise is really good for me, and the pacing's good in that too. But as far as like story progression and pacing and emotions and everything, like this is at the very top for me. So this is too much energon.
yeah, I'm gonna echo that. I think this might actually be the best episode of the show thus far.
Thus far, definitely.
The fact that Megatron straight up kills Ultra Magnus shows that this series has stakes, which I
It
really
has
like.
steaks and the two
Potatoes.
leaders, Megatron, steaks and potatoes. The two leaders are starting to become more desperate. And oh, sorry, I heard robot sounds for a second.
Yeah, I heard some feedback too.
Oh, we both did.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was on my end. It's just sound wave hacking into our signal. And
yeah, sorry about that, listeners.
Yeah. And I've never heard that before.
No, neither have I.
And it's showing that they're both compromising in order to one up each other.
Right.
Oh, Megatron's looking for the Allspark. Oh, we'll find it first. Oh, we're only looking for it because you are. No, we're looking for it for you because you are. And they're starting to make sacrifices on like who they are and what they're willing to like fight for. And we see that exaggerated in the episodes coming up. Holy moly. But we get a taste of that with Megatron there.
Perhaps too much sacrifice.
Too much. Yeah.
I really like the fact that Jetfire just straight up is like, yeah, fuck you.
Oh, right to the like, because they're like, it's almost like Megatron wasn't expecting it and he wanted an excuse to kill
Starscream.
To kill Starscream, and he's like, Jetfire, is this true? And he's like, yes.
There was a scene.
Whoa.
There was a scene that we missed where and this is kind of important, where Megatron tells Starscream, he's like, despite your ambitions, you're one hell of a warrior, so I'm putting you in charge of the Seekers. And
excellent, good. And then he gives a Starscream speech, which actually isn't shitty.
Yeah, he actually gives a pretty rousing speech rallying up the troops, but yeah, anyway, so
the Seekers, yeah.
But yeah, so it's a big old too much energon from me.
Yeah, from both of us. There you go. Our favorite episode of War for Cybertron so far.
And with that being said, that was episode 86 of Too Much Energon. Best way to support the show, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB, where starting at the $5 and up tier, you get hours upon hours of bonus preamble audio of us kind of shooting the shit before we get into recording the shows proper. It's kind of a peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Peek behind the curtain, realize how organized we truly are.
How organized we truly are. And in fact, I make a point of not really editing them very much, just to kind of give you an idea of what things are like behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah.
You also get a monthly-ish commentary track. We've actually been pretty on schedule with those lately for the past couple of months. We did we did Highlander 2 months ago. Fairly recently, we did Mortal Kombat, and soon we're going to be
Christopher Lambert movie we're doing.
Well, soon coming up is the what is it, the 40th anniversary of John Carpenter's The Thing. So I think I want to do that one next. I think the anniversary is actually next week, so we should probably do that soon.
Anybody that is aware of any amount of us talking about movies, that's come up like a dozen times. That's one of our favorite movies.
Yeah, and indeed, it's not even a cult classic anymore. It's just a movie that like most people like at this point, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's and you also get a couple other things at the $5 tier. $10 tier, you get our weekly-ish news and current events program, Lasercomb Tonight, and you also get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on one of our other podcasts, the Lasercomb podcast. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/lasercomb. I haven't been posting on there lately. I really got to get back into the habit of it, but
It's Facebook.
that's the thing, is I'm not really using Facebook much anymore, so it doesn't really occur to me.
It can be more personal, right? Because everyone's name is up there in their profile and everything like that. But like, it's also Facebook.
Yeah. I was actually came really close a few weeks ago for like the third time of like actually like setting my account to delete. I don't like. Okay, so you know when you go to permanently delete your account, it's like, okay, your account will be deleted in 30 days. But if you want to sign back in, then we'll undo the whole process. I can see why that can be beneficial, but for me, I just want to hit the nuclear launch button and just and watch it all burn down. I don't like I just want to be able to like wipe Facebook and just never be able to
So
go
what
back.
you're saying is, for much to your dismay, that 30 days thing actually works because you inevitably don't
It
delete
does,
your
yeah.
account.
It does, yeah, and I don't like it. So Facebook, knock it off. Knock it off. Facebook, you're bothering me.
I've changed my birthday as a joke like so many times now. It doesn't let me change my birthday again. So I can't change it back to my actual birthday. So I just have it turned off, like the notify your friends turned off, because I had changed it to like April 1st or something like that.
I see the joke there.
Yeah, and just because or I'm anti-birthday some years, right? And now it's just like, you've changed it too much, fuck you. And I'm like, fine, I don't care.
Be that way.
Be that way.
You can also follow the show proper on Twitter at Too Much Energon, or you can follow me. I am at Lasercomb, spelled the same way, not as
That's
Too Much
right.
Energon, spelled LEZORCOMB. And Cal, they can follow you at.
I am at. I'm not wearing an actual shirt that says my handle. I just wanted to show off this skull cat. It's a skull made of cats for the video.
Oh,
listeners.
So it is. Now I can't unsee it.
Now you can't unsee it. You just thought it was cats, didn't you?
I had no idea what it was. I wasn't really paying attention, honestly.
Yeah, it's just NeoCal. NEO_KAL on the Twitters.
We'll be back next week with episode 87 of Too Much Energon, where we'll be talking about War for Cybertron Siege, Chapter 5. Until then, I've been one of your hosts, The Siege.
And I'm NeoCal.
And until next time,
till all are one.
Till all are one.